Welcome to Beginner Fills Part 3. In this lesson, we're going to cover some more interesting rhythms, some syncopations, some classic fills that you've heard before, and we're going to get started with this very simple check pattern. Play straight eighth notes in the right hand, which is what we've been playing on the hi-hat. We're going to play that on the snare drum. Then the left hand is going to fill in the E's and Ah's to create straight 16th notes. If you're not used to this yet, a natural tendency can be to want to rush a little bit when you start playing 16th notes, moving from eighth notes. So we're going to play this check pattern and get ourselves used to moving from eighth notes to 16th notes. In this next check pattern, we're going to play eighth notes hand to hand. So it'll be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we're going to play 16th notes hand to hand. Be careful not to rush these and not speed up. You're going to want to play these to a metronome to make sure that you keep a solid tempo when you're moving from eighth notes to 16th notes. All right, now we're going to start getting into some of these fills. Some of these fills you've heard a lot before on records, and some of these have some interesting names to them. This first fill that we're going to cover has a funny little name, Pat Boone, Debbie Boone. Pat Boone was Debbie Boone's father, and they were a pop duo back in the day, had a lot of hits, and this fill, everybody can remember it. Producers ask for this fill often. They say, give me a Pat Boone, Debbie Boone, going into the chorus. And when I play it, you'll know exactly why it's called that. So when you play these, you want to repeat the groove 3 times. I've just picked one of my favorite beginner rock beats. If you haven't checked out those lessons yet, go check out Beginner Rock Beats Parts 1, 2, and 3. I just picked one of my favorites. We're going to repeat it 3 times, and then we get to the fill. And as you could hear in that fill, juice got Pat Boone, Debbie Boone, bow. That's a classic fill that works every time. With this next fill, since my teacher and mentor is Johnny Vodakovich, this rhythm reminds me of his name, so I call this one Johnny Vodakovich. As some of these fills start to get a little bit more adventurous rhythmically, you can play them on the snare first to get used to them, then you can move them around the toms. So now I'm going to take that rhythm and I'm going to split it up around the drums. I'm going to start with my right hand on the snare, and I'm going to play the E's and Ah's on the rack tom, and I'm going to land on the floor tom. And when I voice it this way, my engineer Nick Solnick likes to say it sounds like Big Bob McAdoo. Let's check out one more 2-beat fill. I'm sure you've heard this rhythm in other places. Let's check it out now. So far, we've been looking at 2-beat fills. So now we're going to take a little bit from some of our previous fill lessons, and we're going to make a 4-beat fill by combining some of this from previous lessons and combining it with some of what we've just learned in this lesson. So for this next fill, I'm going to play 8th notes down the toms, and then we're going to play a rhythm that is exactly the same rhythm as this last fill that we just looked at, but I'm going to voice it a little bit differently. This starts to sound like what you may have heard referred to as Ringo fills. As I was saying earlier, that last one starts to sound like something we might call a Ringo fill, and that's coming from Ringo Starr, the drummer for the Beatles. He would play some of these syncopated fills around the drums. So when we start to get into things that sound like this, if a producer asks you or a musician asks you for a Ringo fill, we're starting to get into some of those now. In this next one, we're going to go down the toms again, just like we did in the previous fill, but now on beats 3 and 4, we're going to play a big Bob McAdoo. For this next fill, we're going to take a very simple rhythm. I'm going to voice it down the drums and then back up. This is something that I like to do with fills quite often. Now we're going to take our idea of going down the toms, but we're going to fill it in with the left hand, with the E's and Ahs to create 16th notes. We're going to do that for beats 1 and 2, and then beats 3 and 4, we're going to play a Johnny Vodakovich. With this next fill, we're going to play a driving downbeat rhythm between the snare drum and the floor tom, and then we're just going to play a little simple rhythm around the tom. So I'm just trying to show you how you can start combining ideas to come up with fills. Now for a little lagniappe, we're going to cascade up the drums, and we're going to play the E's and Ahs on the snare, and then we're going to end with a fun rhythm on the snare drum. Again, just giving you all a little something extra and showing you how we can start combining some ideas. Here's one more fill for y'all. I'm just getting adventurous with the different accents and then putting some voicings around the toms. This is all straight 16th notes, but I'm trying to show you how you can get a little bit creative with some of these. I hope y'all got something out of this lesson. If you haven't checked them out already, I've got 3 lessons on beginner rock beats. There's also parts 1 and 2 that come before this fill lesson. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified when I'm posting new lessons on my YouTube channel. And of course, I would love for you to come check out StantonMooreDrumAcademy.com. See you down the line. Yes, indeed.